Joe Biden handed out $93 billion in taxpayer-funded loans between the time that Trump was elected in November and when he left the White House in January. This money was shoveled out the door with virtually no oversight. Companies without business plans, without financial credibility, pocketed billions, sparking outrage and some serious questions about reckless spending and potential corruption. Americans deserve answers about this dangerous misuse of their money. This is Andy with TrendingPolitics.com. Hit like, subscribe, and let's dive into the details.
Chairman, I look forward to we got a lot of work ahead of us.
Thank you, Senator. Mr. Secretary, I want to go back to some of your earlier testimony, be sure I heard it correctly. The 76-day period you're talking about, that's the period between the time that President Trump was elected and President Biden left office. Is that right?
That is correct.
And during that short period of time, 76 days, how much taxpayer money went out the door of the Department of Energy?
From the Loan Program Office in loans and commitments, $93 billion. Well over twice as much as in the previous 15 years. So,
how do you vet and do due diligence on a loan in 76 days? One loan, much less $93 billion. How do you do it?
I think it's probably pretty clear it wasn't done in many cases. As I mentioned, I'm told I'm holding back clearly in place stuff. There is lots of funds that have gone out the door and commitments that were made from businesses that provided no business plan, no numbers about their own financial solvency or how this project
So
can
you're
actually
telling
work.
me that the Department of Energy, in the 76-day period, before their boss was going to leave office, gave or loaned money to entities that had no business plan?
Correct.
No financials?
Correct. A number of those were were before the 76-day period as well. I've come in with great concern about how this institution, this great American institution, has been run and how American taxpayer money has been handled.
Let me ask you something else, Mr. Secretary. Does anybody ever come to the Department of Energy to get some of this free money and lie to you?
I have not experienced that, but I think it's a reasonable assumption that that has happened.
Does anybody ever come to you? Or is it conceivable that some of these folks that heard about this free money came to you with a half-baked idea?
I think it's very conceivable. In fact, I've seen such plans that were half-baked would be charitable.
That didn't have a business plan, right?
Correct. A promise to develop one, to find a location.
Just give me the money and I'll develop the plan later.
Correct.
And now you're going back through, not money that's already been contracted, but you're going back through and checking each one of these loans and these grants to make sure there was no stealing, aren't you?
We are.
We are. Make sure there was no incompetence, aren't you? Is that correct?
We're looking at that, and yeah, my blood pressure is rising right now just thinking about what we have seen and what did happen at the department.
And you're going to tell some of these boondoggles no, aren't you?
That's correct.
And they're going to be upset, aren't they?
That's correct.
And they ought to be upset, shouldn't they?
I don't think they should be upset. I think they should be ashamed.
It's rare that I'm speechless. But I want to be sure I understood. The people running the Department of Energy for President Biden's administration shoveled $93 billion, not million, $93 billion out the door in 76 days And it just happened to be the time between when President Trump was elected and President Biden, their boss, was leaving. Is that right?
It is correct and distasteful. Confidence undermining.
My God. Look, I hope you take whatever time you need to go through all of these projects penny by penny. I mean, I've heard this testimony today. Well, it'll cost jobs in my state. If somebody steals $50 million and goes and spends the money in their state, that's going to stimulate the economy, isn't it?
Yes, it will.
But that's still stealing, isn't it? And it's still illegal, isn't it?
Yes.
I mean, they were spending money at the Department of Energy like it was ditch water. Their budget went from $60 billion to $160 billion since fiscal year 2021. It just sounds to me like there were a lot of people coming to the Department of Energy who had all 4 feet and their snout in the trough. And I hope you'll turn down the boondoggles and refer the thieves to the Department of Justice.
We will indeed.
Investigations now suggest that some of this money may be connected to outright fraud, your money. The Department of Energy is actively flagging suspicious loans and turning them over to the Department of Justice. Multiple cases are already under review, highlighting shocking examples where taxpayer money, your money, was potentially misused, mishandled, or outright stolen. And what's truly alarming is how little accountability there was during this chaotic rush to distribute cash. Like, why did it happen during this time period? Comment below why you think that happened. Tens of billions were given out in just 76 days, a process that typically requires months, if not years, of careful vetting. Think about how difficult it is for you to get a loan and multiply that by 1,000 with these types of numbers. But instead, corners were cut, oversight ignored, and now it's taxpayers left holding the bag. This represents a massive betrayal of public trust, demanding immediate accountability from the Biden administration, even though they're already out. And Americans deserve transparency. You deserve transparency about exactly where every dollar spent. The Department of Energy budget, it exploded from $60 billion to an astonishing $160 billion since 2021. This is unchecked growth. This is fueled an environment where entities flocked to secure easy money, and they presented half-baked proposals or outright fraudulent plans. We must continue demanding thorough investigations and hold accountable every single entity that mishandled even a dollar of taxpayer money. Vigilance in cases like this isn't optional. It is our duty. As citizens of the greatest country on the planet, it is our duty to ensure that government accountability happens, even with the administration already having left. This is Andy with TrendingPolitics.com. Like, subscribe, and stay informed.